Welcome back everyone. The iPhone 13 mini just came out, so let's go ahead and compare this camera quality against the iPhone XR. Now the iPhone XR was a phone that came out in 2018. It's a budget tier phone, kind of like how the 13 mini is right now, to be honest. Now if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links are down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now with the 13 mini, on the back you have a dual camera setup, a wide angle lens, and an ultra wide sensor. With the 10R, you only have a wide angle lens. So right there, you already have a kind of a better capability from a camera from the 13 mini than on the iPhone XR. However, another big thing to keep in mind is that the 13 mini and the iPhone XR can both shoot 4K at 60 on the back. However, on the front, the iPhone 13 mini can do 4K at 60, where the iPhone XR can only do 1080p at 60. So that's kind of a disadvantage for the XR, but it's still a pretty good camera. Now starting off with this first photo, essentially all the iPhone 13 mini photos will be on the right, the iPhone XR photos will be on the left, and immediately I can't really tell a crazy big difference, but I can definitely tell that there are some few key differences. First of all, before even zooming in, the background looks way more blurred out on the iPhone 13 mini than on the iPhone XR, so that's a good thing. If we start zooming in, if we zoom into this bulb right here, you can kind of tell that the iPhone 13 mini's photo looks a lot more sharp, and even the background right here, you can still tell it's a lot more blurred out for sure. On top of that, with the bottom of this little photo or the little bulb, it looks a lot better. But also with this specific little flower right here, it looks like the color is a little bit more punchier and a little bit more, I don't know, accurate is the word, but it looks better on the iPhone 13 mini than on the iPhone XR. So immediately we're already seeing a few key differences. I think zoomed out, they both look pretty good, but that was already some few differences we already saw. Now this next photo is nothing crazy. Again, I'm kind of seeing the same thing with the 13 mini, way more blurred out background than the iPhone XR. So maybe the iPhone XR, the bokeh effect wasn't as great as we thought it was, or maybe the 13 mini is way better. But you can see the actual focus subject isn't too different on both. If we go ahead and look at this little section right here, you look at this little section right here, one thing I've been able to see is that for some 13 mini photos, for some 13 photos in general, there's a little bit more noise. In this specific case, you can see that the background is way more blurred out. You can kind of still see a lot of the grass. On the 13 mini, you can't really tell that right there. So definitely the iPhone XR is still good, but the 13 mini one there. Now this next photo was pretty much of this brick, and one thing I've been saying time and time again is just how great the brick looks on the iPhone 13. With the iPhone XR, it doesn't look bad, it just kind of looks a little bit more dull. With the 13 mini, the brick looks way more brighter, it's just kind of more red, and I really like that. So if you're somebody who's taking a lot of colorful photos, just from the past couple photos that we just saw, you're getting a much better setup from something like an iPhone 13 mini than something like an iPhone XR without a doubt. Now this next photo, again, nothing crazy. I went into some of the worst lighting conditions I could find, and I pretty much just took the photo. And in this case, you can see that with something like an iPhone 13 mini, it doesn't look bad. I think both of them look pretty bad, to be honest, but it's not as bad as you think. With the iPhone XR, definitely looks a little bit more grainy. This little hole right here looks a little bit more dark. If we look at the bottom right, for example, you can see that both of them look pretty bad. The XR photo looks a little bit more noisy though. That's one thing I've been able to see. Seems like the 13 mini kind of denoises this photo. Again, I don't think this is like a great photo to compare, but it's a good one because we can see how both of them kind of fare up in terms of really bad, lighting condition. Now the next one was pretty much the same thing. Unfortunately, I was going to zoom into this specific area on the 10R, but it looks like it got cut off for some reason. Now if we go and zoom into this little portion right here, you can see, I guess it's a little bit more blurred out for the 13 mini. I don't know why, maybe because I was probably focusing on this area. But one thing, again, just look at the brick between both. You can definitely see that the brick on something like an iPhone 13 mini looks more red, and it looks way more just brighter and way more attractive in my opinion, where the iPhone XR photo looks a lot more dull. And that's one thing I've been seeing time and time again with the iPhone XR photo. It's not a dull camera, but sometimes when you're in those poor lighting conditions, or even when we were in the better lighting condition, it's just the dullness kind of just doesn't really look too good for me, where the iPhone 13 mini looks a lot better in my opinion. So that covers it up in this photo. Now this next photo was nothing crazy. I just went and took some lighting, just like some really bad lighting condition again. Nothing crazy, I can't really tell a big difference. Now this next photo is crazy, okay? So when we go ahead and zoom in, right, you can already see that there's a big difference. Again, both these photos were pretty much taken at the exact same time. It's not like these were different days. These were probably within like seconds or minutes of each other. And you can see that there's a massive difference. Look how much extra exposure is going on with the iPhone XR. And even with the background, it doesn't seem, actually they both look pretty blurred out. The 13 mini looks a little bit more blurred out though, but just kind of like unfocusing on that. If we go and zoom into like the bottom portion of this specific, stem right here, you can see again, I think way more blurred out on the iPhone 13 mini. It seems like there's a little bit more noise on something like an iPhone 10, or if you look right here, a little bit more noise going on compared to the gray on the iPhone 13 mini. On top of that, if you kind of look through here, pretty much the same thing. It looks a lot more sharp on something like the 13 mini compared to the iPhone 10R. But I'm definitely telling you, when you look at this photo without even zooming in, you're already seeing some pretty big differences, and that's what I'm talking about. In these like random lighting conditions, you're getting a more consistent camera from a 13 mini than an iPhone 10R. Now this next photo was portrait mode, but unfortunately the 10R does not have portrait mode for animals. So this photo didn't get the blurred out effect, but I mean even then that's one more extra feature for the 13 mini. You're going to be getting, if you're taking portrait mode photos or videos of your animals, you have that portrait mode photo effect for the iPhone 13 mini, but you also have cinematic mode, which is like portrait mode for video. The 10R didn't have it, so I didn't feel like comparing it here, but you can also tell the amount of difference that you have from something like both of these phones. It definitely looks like to me that the 13 mini has a much better camera here. It's way more qualified, I think, for different conditions, which is really good. The 10R camera isn't bad, but you're definitely getting a much better one from something like an iPhone 13 mini. Now this next photo, again, I just wanted to demonstrate the quality and just the capability behind both these cameras. So these were both cameras zoomed out all the way from their wide angle lenses. Now this is both cameras zoomed in all the way, and from what I can tell, they both can zoom in pretty much the same exact thing. There's not really a big difference when it comes down to the zooming in capability. However, zooming out, these are both cameras zoomed out completely all the way. You can see that the iPhone 13 mini is able to get way more in a photo if you want it to be than the iPhone 10R. So pretty much the iPhone 13 mini can do everything the iPhone 10R can do, but the iPhone 10R cannot do everything that the iPhone 13 mini can do. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Now this next photo which is actually the last one, it's nothing crazy. I just took it of the whatever this chair thing was. But one thing I've been seeing time and time again is if I zoom into this corner here, if I zoom into this corner here, one thing that actually kind of surprises me is that there is a little bit less noise on the 13 mini photo, but it doesn't seem like it's really that big of a difference. You can see that the 10R, I think, try to sharpen some areas, like right here when you compare it to these two. You can definitely make out more of what's going on here than on the iPhone 13 mini, but it's definitely not a crazy big deal. You can also see that there's a lot more noise going on with something like the iPhone 10R photo right here. And even when you look at like this little edge here, a little bit more noise, not anything crazy. If we go ahead and zoom into like this little portion right here, I think both of them did a pretty decent job. Actually, the 13 mini looks blurred out here. I don't know why that happened. Maybe because I was focusing on it over here. So if we go ahead and focus in on like a different area of this textile, like maybe something like right there, you can see that the coloring, for some reason, actually looks a lot more better on the iPhone 10R photo than on the iPhone 13 mini photo. So this is something else that kind of flip-flops sometimes. I don't know if there's a consistent winner in this specific photo, but I do like how the iPhone 10R looks a lot more brighter here. So ultimately what I will tell you is that both these cameras are great. Without a doubt, the 13 mini is the better one though in every single area. I would highly recommend picking up an iPhone 10R, but do note that the camera quality is better on the 13 mini. But here's the thing. The iPhone 10R is still a very good camera. It's still very solid. In this specific case, yes, it's not as good as the 13 mini, but the 13 mini is the latest iPhone. It shouldn't be as good as it. I'm hoping the 13 mini is better, but the 10R is still a pretty decent camera quality, and I'm actually pretty happy about it. It's definitely not perfect. You do miss out on 4K at 60 on the front, you do miss out on portrait mode for animals, and you do miss out on cinematic mode, but it's still a pretty decent camera for sure. And if you're somebody who's in the market, I would probably recommend picking it up. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.